Hello, hello. Ooh, this is dirty. Hello. If you watch this in the replay, make sure you leave a comment or two or three and a like. That'd be awesome. Thank you all. Hey, Joshua. Hi, Michelle. How are you? Hello, Rebecca. Hello. Okay. Hey, Lisa. Okay, so let's get started. I don't know how long I'm going to be on. So let's get started. I'll give it a minute. I'll give it 2 minutes. So, hello, how is everybody? Happy Monday. Back to work after a good long holiday, right? So, I was thinking about because I something, and I was thinking about the grief process. I'm well, and I'm thinking about it, and I wanted to discuss it from a few places. Um, we all at some point are going to deal with grief in our life. Some of us have dealt with grief and losing loved ones. And when I say loved ones, I mean those people who are really close to you, part of your life. You love them when they're gone, you will miss them tremendously. And so I wanted to talk about that because um, I think sometimes people need to hear this from both ends of it. So, the first thing I want to say is when it comes down to that, hi, Sarah, is that um, if you have a friend or someone close to you, hey, V, that is dealing with grief, losing someone very close to them, a life partner, a parent, things like that. Understand that the best thing you can do for them is just be there for them and ask them what do you need from me. I think so often people want to like be empathetic when really in that space you really don't need empathy because and a lot of sympathy. Hi, Anastasia, because sometimes people who have never dealt with it really just cannot understand. And that's kind of how you feel in those moments. It's like it's cool for somebody to say, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss and everything." But really, I'm just telling you this from personal experience. If they haven't really felt that, you just feel like, "Oh, okay, thanks a lot." So the best thing you can do for somebody who is, especially in those first days, is what do you need me to do? And just do for them what they need done. Sometimes that's just being next to them while they talk and things like that. And here's one thing, don't try to put yourself in their position if you've never been in it. Don't make it about you. Let them talk. If they need to talk, if they need to cry, give them something to wipe their nose. Do those things, but don't try. Here's one of the worst things you could say to somebody dealing with this, because I heard somebody do this. Um, don't say their loved one is in a better place. I promise you, I promise you with all that I have in my fiber of my being, no one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear they're in a better place. You know what the best place to me would be is right here next to me. So no, don't say that to somebody who's dealing with the grief and loss, you know. So do not say that. Because I heard somebody saying that and I almost punched this girl because she's like, they're in a better place, better place. Uh, right. Shut the fuck up. Do that's like I'm telling you now. Don't ever say that to somebody dealing with the loss of a loved one. They're in a better place. I don't care. Here's the next one. They had a great life. Hmm. I don't care about that either. We don't care about that either. You know. And like I said, if especially when it is the moment, when it's just happened. Mm-mm. Don't say those things. We really don't want to hear them then. We are grappling with the loss of someone that's very close to us, that meant a lot to us, and we are devastatingly sad, you know, right? Devastatingly sad, and we don't want to hear that. So I'm just trying to help you. If you're trying to comfort somebody, right? Yeah. See, my father was 56, 57. Right. So no, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. And my father had a great life, but it wasn't enough. And so those are the things I'm just wanting to put that out there for people who are dealing with that. Also, here's what I'm gonna say for people who are dealing with, who are around somebody with loss after the funeral. Hey, patience, loss and sadness does not end after the funeral. So when you make these comments like it's okay, ooh, right, yeah, that whole they're not suffering anymore is another no. Um, Even though you know there is no time, and then you don't have the right to tell somebody the timeline for their sentence and their loss. So those are things don't do. Now let me talk about people who are dealing with loss and have dealt with loss. um, Grief is a solitary journey because grief doesn't ever end. Hi, Dana. Grief does not end. Grief will stay with you. As long as someone is still alive in your memory, they never die. So that is what part of your grief as a solitary journey is. Hi, Bren. Okay, you do that. Um, and the reason why I'm saying that is because people seem to think, right, right. People seem to think that there's this finite time for you to. Oh, you're welcome, Lisa. That there's this finite for grief. That you should be getting over it. You should be getting over it, and you should be okay with things. And yes, you do want to be okay. And let me say this: your grief should never take you out of life. And if it does, please seek some help with that. Because I always tell people that the one thing that your loved ones don't ever want you to do is stop living because they're no longer here. And that is the truest statement I can make, is that your loved ones don't want you to stop living. I know, Dana, I'm so sorry. It's kind of why, and I saw somebody else. Um, you don't want, our loved ones don't want us to stop living, so you must continue to live. You cannot say, I don't want to live anymore. You cannot make it so deep and all encompassing that you can't move, you can't do things. If that is how you feel at the loss of a loved one, then you must seek counseling. You must seek counseling. But understand, right, but you must understand that it will always be with you. It will never stop. And it's like an ebb and flow, right? Grief is an ebb and flow. So there's going to be times when you're fine, and then there's going to be those moments when you wake up and you're crying, and you're just there, you're thinking of them, or something happens to trigger that, and it's okay. It's okay. And for the people around them, understand that. Don't act like, that because they're sad sometimes, that they should be over the grief. They should be done with it. Um, you know, that right, you should stop living. You stop all these things because they're gone. No, that's not what they want for you. But for the people that are around you, here's the thing why I say it's a solitary journey, because the people around you cannot handle that. Let's just be honest. If they've never experienced it, they don't understand it. So understand, and don't expect the people around you to be supportive of you, to be there when you need them. They will be there in the beginning, but once the procedures are over, once the funeral is done, they go back to their lives. You know, they go back to their lives. So understand that they're not going to be there for you like you might need. Exactly, baby. I'm so sorry, Patrice. And that I can't even imagine what that feels like, you know. Um, but what we have to understand is that it's okay, and we must work through it and find a way to live with it, because the way we honor the people that we've lost is living a good life, living and showing who they're in our lives and how important they were, and never letting that part of them die. Right. Um, so that's hi Diana. And I think it's important, especially at this time of year, because it can be very difficult for people. Right. And you never will. You'll never stop that grief. There might be, it's like a tide. It comes in and it comes out. Hey, Tammy. Um, you know, so and it's okay, but understand it cannot be so overwhelming that it stops everything you do. Um, yeah, and I think that yeah, it's very hard when you've lost those people and you see how people treat their parents or how they talk to them, when you know that if it was nothing else to you would be to have your parents there, you know. So it's very hard, seeing that. But like I said, the thing is that people have to understand that. And right. Right. And especially at this time of year, because this is a hard time. Yes, it is. It's a hard time because this is the holidays. And usually we think about the people that we love during this time. Oh, they are, and I'll talk about that in a minute, patience. Right. Um, okay. So I was gonna try to hold it together for you, but today is the anniversary of Mother's Day. And that's kind of why I did this today instead of tomorrow on my Talk It Out Tuesday. And it has been years. My mom died in 1995. And, and I still remember that day. And I can still remember what happened. And and let me tell you, for years, I never remembered this date. And so that was how my grief dealt with it. So, like, literally, I could feel this day coming. And by something would happen in my mind and it would click off. Um, and I would just lose this date. And it would be like I did not know the dates. I would like about the end of November, I would be feeling like it's coming up on that date. And for about 15 years, about 10, 15 years, my mind would go blank. And by the time I would feel a date or see the date again, it would be about December 5th. And I know that we dealing with it. And so for me to be able to remember today is very different. And it's been a few years and they come and go now. So I still have a couple of years where I just forgot the date. And it's like, that's how I make it through this time. My father's a little different because he's been gone for so long. My father died when I was 16. So my grief for him is a little different. But this has been so this is something for me to be here, and I apologize for crying and everything. But I say this because I understand it from a very long time. I lost my father almost, yeah, the longer the list gets, but and it never changes and it never feels different. But like for my mom, it was different. Um, my mother went very quickly. My father had cancer and emphysema, and so I knew he was dying. And so at 16, I found myself praying to God to let my father go. And that's a hard place to be at 16 years old. And I remember his last days, I prayed that God would let him go because he was in pain and I didn't want to see my father in any more pain than he was. And so I was with my father in his last moments. And I was with him in his last moments, and I was there, Mama was there, and I called the ambulance for my father to go. Um, um, and so that's what I had to do. Um, with my mother, hi, me. It was different because she wasn't sick, and I left her. She had been sick, and I left her to go take the kids to school. And when I came back, she was dead, and I found her on the floor. And so that's a little different. Hold on. And so it was a little more traumatic. So I've seen the long and the short of death. And I say that to say that was the Friday I had just gone back to school. I was back in school, and it was the Friday before I went to finals. And I had to make a decision. And that's what I said, is that you have to decide what you're going to do and if you're going to live and if you're going to be that person that your parents expected you. So my mother was so happy that I had went back to school because I had left school when I was young and silly and dumb. And I decided to go back, and she was so happy, and I had gotten scholarships reinstated and I was doing well in school. Um, yeah, because I went back in 94. So this was 95. And so when it happened, it was Friday and I had to go take finals on Monday. And so, as opposed to um, just letting it go, I got up and I had to deal with that because the very next day we were going to be having her memorial service. And so I went to school, and because I knew that's what my mother would want. And so when I say that about grief and grieving, you must get up. You must, um, yeah, you must, uh, right. You must get up and do what you have to do. And that's what got me up that day. It was like Mama wouldn't want me to not live, not to continue doing what she was so happy that I went decided to go back and do. And so that's why I say that. So if you feel yourself to that point that you cannot move, you cannot do the things you need to do, then you must seek assistance. You must seek help. You must seek someone to help you through the process because it will never, ever go away. It will never, ever go away. And so that's why I say this a solitary journey, and you cannot turn to people years later. My parents have been gone so long, and if someone sees me crying about them out of the blue, it's like, what's wrong with you? They've been gone so long. You should be over it. You're never over it. They always will be there. That sadness still has a place, but you must be able to process it and deal with it and live with it. So I went to school. So I went to college. I went to my professors, and I dealt with what I had to deal with. And so, you know, yeah, you just learn to live with it. And so, what the time is that when that happened, I went to school and I explained to them what was going on. Yep, yep, yeah. So it was so it so I went and dealt with school and I handled my business. Now, did I take my finals? I did take one because it was my statistics final, and my and my father said, that my my professor told me, if you answer 5 questions, shut up, damn, Sarah. Yeah, and so that's where I went and I took a test. Wow, damn, girl, people are cold blooded. And you don't want to wish the worst on them, but you like, I hope you don't never have to go through no shit, because clearly you ain't got an empathetic bone in. But yeah, I would, Sarah. And so it is that. So don't be afraid of your tears. Um, you know, right? Don't be afraid of your tears and don't be ashamed of them. But yeah, right. Don't be ashamed of them. Now, in reference to what you said, in reference to what Patience said, in reference to our parents being near us, um, yes, they are always with us. And if you are open, they will speak to you. Um, a few years ago, I had a dream about my mother. And in the dream, we were talking, and we were laughing and joking and having a good time. And in the dream, I turned and looked at my mother, um, and looked at her and I said, "But Mama, you're not here." I said, "You're not here. I can't see, you're gone." And she looked at me in my dream and told me, "I've never left you." And I woke up crying, of course. And that's when I knew my mother was letting me know that, I have never left you. And I've always known that, because there are times when I felt that I have been lifted in my moments of crisis by my parents, by my loved ones. I have other loved ones that have been gone. And I felt those moments of crisis when I was at my weakest, that they were right there with me and holding me up. And that's what those loved ones do for us. Um, just last year, my I had a dream about my father. And I've had dreams about my parent, my father, in other ways, but in this particular dream, I was we were getting on a bus, just a bus going someplace, and I was like, "Daddy, give me your oh wow, right, oh my goodness, wow." Um, and so we were on the bus, and he looked at me, right, yes. I think you should see somebody, Patrice. I think you should see a grief counselor. I think you should see someone who can help you with this. because it can be overwhelming, and especially with it being your child. I can't imagine that. I've got children. I can't imagine that. And it means that you must see somebody to work through that, to make sure, you know, to make sure that you take care of it. So anyway, I was on the bus with my father, and I told him, I need your senior citizen discount card so I can get your discount. And he was sitting on the bus, and I was standing above him holding on. And, the bus was moving. And then, it was like I was waiting for him, and it was taking him too long to give me this bus card. And he, so I'm like, I looked down, he was sitting down, and I looked at him. I said, Daddy, where's your bus card? Come on. Because I was tired, you know, and I said, come on, man, give me can and he was pulling stuff out of his pocket. And as I looked at what he was pulling out of his pocket, it was pictures. And the pictures were of me and of my life and of Bianca and DJ, which of course he's never, he wasn't here for. And so I looked at him, and he just smiled. And when I woke up, I understood that that was my father telling me that he's been watching me my whole life, and he knows everything that's happening. Lord knows, some days I don't know if I want I'm sad that my parents do know who everything about me now, but it is what it is. And I'm glad, Rebecca. Yeah, they know everything. They still love me, so that's a good thing. So with that, I'm saying, like, for the people who are dealing with it, and it has been close, it's been recent, is that they will come and talk to you. You will feel their presence. You will know when they are there for you, and be open to it. Don't think that it's not true. Don't think that, oh no, this is crazy. No, really, you are feeling them. They are letting their presence be known because you need it. Maybe I needed to know that my father has been looking over me all these years. Maybe I needed that reminder. Maybe so, because it has been over 30 years since my father has been gone. So maybe I needed that reminder that, yo, I'm still here. I'm still here. Because now we're at like 35 years. 35 years my father has been gone. And my mom has been gone over 20, you know, right? Right? Right. And so now, so I wanted to say that, you know, for everybody who's dealing with it, whatever place you are on this journey, that you're fine. It is fine where you are. If you are managing, if you are living your best life, if you are, doing the things that would make your parents or whomever proud of you, then don't be sad, right? Right? So don't feel like you're wrong for feeling that way. Don't feel like you cannot cry, you cannot be upset, you have to be strong. No, you don't. There are going to be moments of weakness, and those moments are okay. Right. Right. So it's okay to be weak sometimes. It's just that the weakness should never overtake you to the point that you cannot move. Right. Right. So it's important that we understand that, and that's why I want you all to understand that I say the solitary journey, because it will make you okay with it. Because don't have the expectations of people around you to support you. Don't have the expectations of them, checking on you and making sure you're okay after the days, the very beginning of your journey. And what I mean by that is like when they die, when you're dealing with the immediate needs of someone passing that is very important to you, like the funeral, the memorial service, whatever you do. Those your people will be there for you. They will hug you. They will give you the things they think, and then they go back to their lives. So you must be okay with that, you know you know oh yes, they definitely expect you to bounce back too quickly, and that's why I say it's a solitary journey. The reason why I say that is because and sometimes you have to do that, Anastasia. You do need to ignore people, but why I say that is because by the reaching out and then you get upset because they're not giving you what you need, they absolutely are not going to give you that. After you finish with services and everybody has and they've gone to the burial or whatever, however you celebrate that life, once that is over, they go back to their lives and they are not going to give you this support that you're looking for. They are not, you know, they will not. So don't expect it. And don't be upset at people if they don't give you that support, because that's not their role anymore. Their role was to be there in that moment in the beginning when so much you were being so overwhelmed and so much was happening. That's what they can do for you. Now the rest of your journey is on your own, and feel you must feel your way through it. you know you must feel your way through it. You must be able to see what you need to do. You must process your sadness. You must process your feelings. Ain't nobody gonna help you with that unless you go see a counselor. You know, you know, and that is so. If it is overwhelming, do not then turn to a counselor, someone who actually can say, let me help you through this, and they can support it and understand the process and help you through it to the other side. And I don't mean to the other side of not grieving anymore, but to the other side of understanding it and and managing it and letting it become just organic, as opposed to like stifling and overwhelming. If that and I truly mean that, because I'm not here, I cannot tell you how to grieve. I cannot tell anybody. What I can tell you is if it's overwhelming you and you cannot do anything and it stops you from living, then it is time to seek help. It is time to seek somebody's help, because you're not going to find it in the people you know, because they're not built for that. It's just not, and it's not fair to them, right? So I know, like, that's why I said I wanted to talk about it during Live Miss, and I decided let's get it out the way early, because this is such a hard time. And I remember, like, for me, when Mama died in December, the beginning of December, that Christmas was rough on me. You know, you know, it was rough. It was very hard for me to deal with that Christmas. I had to make it through because I had two small kids, but that was all I did. And that's what drove me was, okay, I got to be okay for being DJ. But really, it was hard because my mama wasn't there, and so this is a hard time for people just all over the place in general, dealing with loss of people and how you dealt with them and how they were part of that. You know and so I don't you thank you, Joshua. I just don't want people to be feeling like they're by themselves, because you're not by yourself in grief, because so many of us have experienced it. So you're not alone. um right, that you're not alone, but sometimes, but it is lonely. And so you want to know that there are other people that can relate to it, even if they're dealing with it in a different way, we all relate to those losses. And you don't have to feel like, oh my God, I'm by myself. And so that's why I kind of wanted to do it today, because I looked at it. Yeah, and you should have, Dana, and that's okay. That's okay, and there will be times, listen, for years I didn't celebrate Mother's Day. For years, and I do mean at least 5 or 6 years, I didn't celebrate Mother's Day, because Mother's Day to me was about my mama. And what, even though I was a mother, Mother's Day to me was about my mother. It wasn't about me being a mother. It was about celebrating my mother. So for about the first 5 years, I didn't do anything on Mother's Day. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to do anything. I get my presents from the kids and stuff, and that was it. You know, and honestly, I haven't celebrated, and that was hard for me with having kids, with Father's Day, because I didn't celebrate, Father's Day was nothing to me anymore because my daddy was gone. So, it was like, so I'm even, right. Right, and Carol, and see, that's not fair to you, and you need to release some of that, because you felt the need to take on the whole burden of what was happening because of who you are. But that wasn't fair to you, because that was your father, and you must be able to release that pain and that sadness, and let it go, and be able to have it. What they say? Huh? Hold on. Right. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Y'all know who that is, right? Hold on, be right back. I gotta check on something. I'll be right back. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Right. No, he's lost his keys, so he needs to see if we're home. Okay, loves. So I need to get off now. I got to deal with Bianca. I'll let you all know. Yeah, I am a silent crier. I cry, by myself, and I have big old tears and everything. And that's why I say be okay with it, because, and it might be later on, it might be, I'm good for months or months and I don't have any sadness. And then all of a sudden it comes on, and so I want to thank you all for being so kind, you know, for me like breaking down and everything. I was going to be all, tough. And thank you all for that. And I hope that this conversation helps. And I also hope that if anybody watches this later on and they come and watch this, that they look at the live chat, that they, and if they are walking this path, that it helps them, you know, you know, um, and that's, yes, I do know y'all love me. And so I hope that this will help somebody. Um, So we will talk again. Tomorrow will be a much happier day. We will talk skincare, and live miss will continue. So thank you all. Thank you all. You all have a great night.